It's 1995. The world we know has changed.
Put on your Sunday best, kids. We're going to Sears.
But the Bradys
Groovy.
never will.
Out of sight.
With Mike,
If your sister would wear her glasses, she just might improve her eyesight.
Carol,
Honey, I think you've stirred that enough.
I'm not stirring. I'm looking for Katie Carryall's underpants.
Greg,
All right, this is a car, Jack.
Of course this is a car. But my name's not Jack, it's Greg.
Bobby, and Cindy.
So why don't you hop back on the Swiss Miss package where you belong, huh?
Okay.
Peter,
Lunch looks pretty rank.
What'd you bring?
Pork chops and applesauce.
Jan,
Hi, everybody. It's the new Jan Brady.
Marcia,
Dinner's ready. Oh, my nose.
I'm sure no one will ever notice.
There will never be a teen model.
and Alice. The Brady Bunch movie.
Marsha did it again. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and Marsha. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister, the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
But Jan, you don't have any friends.
That's a good impression. Sure, Jan.
We're practicing.
Sure, Jan. We've been practicing that line forever. We are dorking out about 1995's The Brady Bunch movie. We wanted to get a comedy in before Scary Movie Month starts. It's directed by Betty Thomas. It's written by Lawrence Elwani, sure, Rick Kopp, Bonnie Turner, and Terry Turner. They've wrote a lot of TV shows, if I remember. I think they did Third Rock from the Sun. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's based on the very popular TV show from the 70s, and this movie stars Gary Cole as Mike Brady, Shelly Long as Carol Brady. We love Shelly Long on this show.
She's amazing.
She is. Christopher Daniel Barnes, Christine Taylor, Paul Sutra? Sure. Jennifer Elise Cox is Jan Brady. She's this movie's MVP for sure.
Oh my God, we have to talk about her.
Yes.
But yes.
Jesse Lee Sofer as Bobby Brady, Olivia Hack as Cindy Brady. We've got Harriet Mantel as Alice Nelson. And then national treasure Gene Smart is the drunk neighbor. I had forgot Gene Smart was in this movie. Michael McKean and RuPaul shows up in there, and then a bunch of original cast members, and the monkeys are in there. Everybody's in there.
Eric Neese.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, that's right. From the Real
dance
World.
show.
Yeah, and from
Real World
and the Grind.
Club FT. Yes.
The Grind. Yes.
The Grind. That's right.
Oh my God.
And he had a workout, I think, DVD or something.
Yes. I love the. Here we go. I love. I actually think the 70s stuff feels so timeless in this movie, and the 90s stuff is so dated. Like it's Eric Neese from MTV's Real World and Grind. I was like, oh yeah, in the 90s he was a thing. That's right. Oh gosh. I do want to start with, did you see this in the theater? But I also want to ask, did you watch the show a lot when it was on in the 70s?
Yes and yes. I watched it constantly, well into the 80s, like
Yeah.
well beyond what I should have, but I find it like a comforting hug, like the Monkees, by the way. Like
Yeah.
I could watch Monkees and it just makes me feel like a kid again. It's just, I just love that show. I saw the Brady Bunch live. They did shows around the country. I got to go on stage and I got to wear the shawl for a minute. Marsha's, yeah. And so, yeah, I was ripe for this movie. It's like totally in my wheelhouse. And you're goddamn right. I was there like opening night and I loved it.
Yeah, I watched the show a lot growing up. And it was on during the day all the time. I probably seen all the episodes until, I don't know, those later episodes with Cousin Oliver. No offense to Cousin Oliver, by the way. He was just he's an actor doing a job. But like those episodes aren't as fun as the earlier ones. And I used to watch them all the time. And I was very much like, I don't know if we need a Brady Bunch movie, but whatever. And I went, and this movie is really funny. I thought it was funny then. I think it's funny now. it is like a really good TV, like a remake of a TV show that like rewards people who watch the show. But I'm wondering if people who don't watch the show would think it was funny, because I kind of think they would.
I hope so. I hope people. I think it's like you said, it's a genuinely funny movie. Betty Thomas is a great director.
Yeah,
she knows comedy. She's she was in what's the Camp Beverly Hills. She was Troop Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
with Shelly Long. She's so. I mean, this movie goes such a great pace.
Yes,
there's like not one extra scene in there.
No,
Everything
it's short. It's along. Tight. 90 minutes. Tight.
And all the jokes land, and there's like visual humor. They're making fun of the 70s. They're also making fun of the 90s.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of affection for both. And no one's like the butt of the joke. Like everyone, I mean, I think the brilliant thing is that like they're oblivious that they're in the 90s. And that's so like Marsha's just a hot chick. It doesn't matter what she's wearing.
That was one of the things.
People don't notice her.
One of the things that cracked me up was it does in this movie, like everyone there, first of all, they are stuck in the 70s. They are completely clueless to how much they annoy people around them with their like how naive they are, and just their basic presence like pisses people off. And they're just like they just don't notice. They don't pick up on that sort of thing. And that was cracking me up. And the fact that Marsha on the show, original show, she did like have like a perfect life, and everyone loved Marsha, and that was the whole thing, right? Marsha. And in this, even though she's like 20 something years behind everyone else, she's still a smoking hot chick that every dude's like, I would hit that. And every lesbian in the show is also, or in the movie is like, I would hit that. Like she's still leading a charmed life, even this way. Like,
but she's sweet, and she's also. I mean, sure, she's vain, but why wouldn't she be? She's so pretty and just great hair.
5,000 stroke brushing her hair every day.
The show, they just get all those little details down, but like I said, they really mix it up with like 90s, and it's like grunge and flannel shirts and dour attitudes versus this very sunny early 70s idea. And it's like such a great mishmash.
Yes.
And it could have like, and I would say like, also they have so many, I guess like there has to be stuff on the cutting room floor because they had cameos for everybody.
Yes.
But they couldn't fit them all in. But I respect the fact that she's like, no, this is going to be 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You'll make it or you don't make it, but it's got to fit the jokes. And I agree. I think Gary Cole, by the way, and Shelley Long, what they're doing is not easy.
No.
The comedy that they're doing, and that they're still like sexy, and they're very earnest.
She's Shelley Long.
And Gary Cole, man.
Yeah.
He's, this is like, it's so fucking good. It's going to be one of those shows where I like this part.
Yeah, I like this part.
I have no notes.
It's
all great.
The thing that worked for me, and I kind of hinted at it already, was so when we saw this movie in 95, the clothes people are wearing, the music, the grunge, all that stuff was like, that's what people wore. The overplucked eyebrows, the flannel, the grunge. It's slightly exaggerated, but not too exaggerated. Yes. Now it looks just as comical as the 70s decor. Like, you can watch this movie now and it's like a spoof of the 70s and a spoof of the 90s. It works on a totally different level now. It's funny.
Genius. Yeah.
And there are cameos from like so many of the original cast members, and we get like people like RuPaul who show up as a guidance counselor, and she's so used to dealing with like teenage depression and pregnancy and like all this stuff, and Jan shows up with her like middle child syndrome and doesn't want to wear her glasses. That's her huge issue. It's like, I don't want to wear my glasses. It's so funny to me. It's like, it's so innocent.
Jennifer Elise Cox as Jan is so funny. She's in this movie
the MVP for sure. Like, so funny.
And they're all, and Christopher Daniel Barnes is Greg. He was on a show called Day by Day.
Oh yeah,
which is like early 90s. And they did, Julia Louis-Dreyfus was on there. They did an episode about the Brady Bunch. And I swear like this kind of got the ball rolling, like for him to get the part. Yeah. Because he played a character that was obsessed with that show. But yeah, it's funny because by the time, you know, the 80s came along, or mid 80s, like they were goofy, like their outfits looked goofy and they were corny and all that stuff. And all the actors wanted nothing to do with it. Like they all were kind of embarrassed about, because they didn't make money from it. I mean, they didn't get the residuals or anything. And it's funny, like by the time it becomes a movie, they all have more of a fondness for it. And we have a fondness for them because they're nice people. They're really decent people.
Yes. Exactly. None of them are bad people. All the stuff with Greg made me laugh out loud. Like he's like, "Hey, groovy chick," and they're like, "Oh," you know. Even like, you know, just to skip to like around the end of the movie, like when he's like gets a guitar and gets on the stage at the prom, and he's like, "I want to dedicate this song to a groovy chick," and like every woman like runs away.
Should we start at the beginning? Like,
yeah, we could do that. So. The movie opens with like it's 95. It's, you know, they're in Southern California, and it eventually lands at the Brady's, where they are all still they're still in the 70s. I love that the movie never explains why this is. We don't need that. We don't need it. It would be a worse movie if it had that. We don't need any time travel bullshit. Like, just for whatever reason, they are in the 70s and everyone else is in quote unquote current time.
Yeah, they're
90s.
the weirdos of the neighborhood, but they don't seem to understand that. Like everybody else, like gets older, moves away. They just stay exactly the way they are. And
exactly.
That's great. Yes.
There is a, you know, totally like 80s, 90s plot line of they want to redevelop the neighborhood, and then Michael McKean is the like evil developer who lives next door that wants all the neighbors to agree to sell their houses so that they can put a mall there.
Yep,
and
a mini mall.
Yeah, and all the neighbors have signed off, but the Bradys have not. And it turns out that the Bradys have also not paid their taxes for some strange reason. So they owe $20,000 or they're going to lose their house. So that is kind of the main story that's going on. But it's really just a lot of the movie is just watching the Bradys like make their way through 70s Bradys making their way through the 90s and all the like confusion that they seem to cause wherever they go.
I love that they had, Gary Cole with the perm and the Mike Brady clothes. Yes. And we remember Mike Brady because he was an architect by his profession.
Yes.
But we never really saw him do that. Like he'd just be in the basement in his den, you know, just sketching, and then she would come in, and he was always giving advice to the kids. It was all, and it's apparently like what was his name? The guy who played Mike Brady.
Oh my gosh, I should probably look that up. I'll look it up.
Yeah, he apparently was a real pain in the ass to the people the producers of the show, because he'd just be like, "This makes no sense. Why would he do this? Why would he do that?"
Robert Reed.
Robert Reed, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they all really loved each other, apparently. He took the kids on vacation with his kids and stuff like that. Anyway, but he's like, "Oh, I know what to do. My boss will lend me $20,000. I just have to land that contract."
Yes.
And so the joke is that he's using the house as a model for all these different businesses.
He only knows how to design one thing, and the one thing is the house they live in. So yes, every client comes in, he is like, "It's perfect for a gas station. It's perfect for a restaurant. It's perfect for this. It's perfect but every single one. What his boss was like, "Your designs have this," what is he like a classic look, and he's all, "Yes, it is timeless," or something. Like he just they never know when they're being insulted ever. But the running joke that Mike Brady only knows how to design one thing, and Shelley Long as Carol Brady with her amazing hair with the little flip is so funny. and she's constantly like pouring sugar like into coffee, like constantly, like it's all of that. And then I think a neighbor points out that the whole family shares one bathroom and there's no toilet.
Right. I mean, that's like, because they used to not show toilets on TV. They weren't allowed to until like All in the Family. They played the flushing sound, and that was like considered risque humor because you couldn't do that before. Yeah, they had the one toilet. They have like Alice works there, but you're like, what do they really need Alice for? Because Carol doesn't really work, and the kids are getting older. But everyone loves Alice, and everyone loves Sam,
and they dress her as a maid.
About Sam the butcher jokes.
Yeah, and Alice like is dressed as a maid. Just so you know that she's the maid. And yeah, the running jokes about how Alice has been basically sleeping with Sam for like 20 years and he never asks her to marry him. Like, ha ha. Like, it's just all of that. But the joke that like is like my favorite thing, the running joke throughout the whole movie about how everything always goes right for Marcia, and Jan like just has that middle child syndrome where like she can't stand out. Everyone ignores her. Like everything she says, they're like, "Oh, Jan, shut up." Sure, Jan, everything she says. And then she gets these voices in her head, and the voices are like arguing with each other, and the faces that she makes, Jennifer Elise Cox, they're so funny.
She does that whole walk that Jan did where she swished her hair from side to side. Like she's got that whole walk. And also like Christine Taylor is great as Marcia. She's got a lot of Marcia's stuff down. Skill, like the little way she pronounced things. But so the family, so he's trying to make the money, the 20 grand, for the tax bill by that, and the kids overhear it, of course, because Cindy's the
tattletale. And when you tattle, you're tattling on yourself and and you're telling everybody that you're a tattletale.
He gives these long elliptical answers all the time, but she overhears it and she tells Greg, and then Greg's like, "Well, I'm a rock star in my head. Like, let's no. First, they're like, let's collect money. Like, let's try to get money wherever we can."
Yes.
And Jan brings up like, "Oh, there's a contest at school," and then Marsh's like, "That's stupid. We're not gonna, how are we gonna
sure,
do that?
Jan."
She's just completely like shot down. So the kids try to make the money. And then I love the stuff with Gene Smart and Michael McKean next door as the Dittmeyers. Like, she's drunk all the time because she's married to this guy.
And she's hot for the Brady boys, all of them except for Bobby because he's very, very young. But the rest of
very underage. Right?
Yeah, she's like, "Tell your dad I'm come over this Christmas and wrap his package." Or like, the Brady, she's standing between Greg and Peter, and she's like, "Why don't you come over later and help me make a sandwich?" And like, it's so gross, but at the same time, she's Gene Smart, and it's so funny. She's just
funny as hell. And Dittmeyer is trying to sell the mouse, and Michael McKean works great. Does a lot of physical comedy and insults, like he could roll his eyes, and and then they have these two demon kids. They're redheaded demon kids that like scream and yell at Missy, who makes fun of Cindy's lip.
Yes.
See you later.
See you later. Cindy's just like, "Oh well, la da 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 da," like skipping rope, just walking off. Like they again totally clueless about how much they annoy everybody. It's
Jan
so
on the
funny.
Bike, by the way, and crashing into the bushes. I was howling everything with Jan. I just was like, this is her movie. She's so great.
Yes.
They have the scene where Marcia, and this is classic Brady Bunch lore, but Marcia was hit in the face with a football.
Oh, my nose.
And apparently in the real version, like the original version, they just threw a ball at her nose. Like in the movie, they have like a glass shield. Yes.
That's so, well, we don't have special effects, so we just really have to break your nose. So awful.
Duck a little bit before it hits you, yeah.
But I do want to.
Her nose is so comically twisted when she gets that, and Jan is just like smirking next to her.
Yeah, she's living her dream.
Oh my God, that made me laugh so hard.
Before the nose thing where they're trying to raise money, Greg wants to be a rock star, and he shows up and it's the original Greg is the like talent scout, and he's like, LOL, no. And then Marsha's like, I'm going to be a teen model. And there's this whole thing about where they go to, Jan goes with her and she's like, this is my thing, Jan. And Jan's like, you're not the only one that could be a model. And there's a whole conversation with like a model there where she models for Guess jeans. And she's like, I model for Guess. And she's like, oh, I don't know. Are you a Breck girl? And then it's like, you know, do you model for Oshkosh B'gosh or whatever, like Wrangler? Like, no, Guess jeans. But I love when their photos are being taken and Jan is like jumping. Like she just keeps like jumping in the air for the picture. And immediately like the photographer just takes Jan and like pushes her outside.
He's got the nose, like the nose ring to the earring.
And he goes up to Marsha and he's like, you really got something, but we're going to have to give you a new look. And like, you're going to have to get breast implants and you're going to have to cut your hair. And like, he says all these awful things to her. And the last one is cut your hair. And she's like, cut my hair. Like
she slaps
and then
him.
she slaps him.
Just because.
How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, and Greg is playing Johnny Bravo, which is like that's from the original show. For those of you that don't know. And then so Mike does sell a design to somebody, and so his boss is going to forward him the money. He and Carol tell the kids, and the kids are like, oh, phew, we don't have to sell our house. They're like, no, so let's go to Sears and celebrate. So they go to Sears.
They're there to find the softer side of Sears.
Those songs are so embedded in my brain. It's Sunshine Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just so 70s. And yeah, they do a whole like routine on the escalator. And like everyone's like, what the fuck are they doing? Like the fact that they would go to a Sears, which is also like so very 70s. And there's also a thing where Jan goes to the school dance with a dude who really is just trying to get in her pants, and like they are parked in a car somewhere and he's got his arm around her shoulder and she's like, you know, your hand is on my shoulder. That's third base. I don't go that far.
That's Marsha.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And Marsha.
Doug Simpson, the big man on campus.
Yes. And he literally ditches her in the middle of nowhere after that. And it turns out she gets picked up by Davy Jones, who then takes her to the dance and and she is so excited because it's Davy Jones, and no one else knows who Davy Jones is because they're all normal 90s kids. But all the teachers are like, that's really Davy Jones.
I love how they shove the kids.
Yes, they're like out of my way, and they're like in the front, like, like so. And
that's my favorite sight gag. I just made me laugh so fucking hard.
Yeah, and then Jan starts doing her little dance with her thumbs, and it starts like the whole class is doing it.
Marsha.
Sorry. Oh my God.
Because Jan shows up with her big wig, her RuPaul wig, basically.
Yes, Jan shows up to the dance.
I'm the new Jan Brady.
Yes, in her huge afro wig. And she's like, hi, everybody. It's the new Jan Brady. Sorry, I wrote in my notes Jan. That's why I kept saying it's Marsha.
No. It's fine. It's fine.
Yes. And then they go to Sears. And then Dittmeyer convinces the guy to like pull out of the deal with Mike Brady. And so again, now they're back to square one where they don't have their $20,000, which is when Marsha says, maybe we should enter that contest. And Jan's like, that was my idea. Sure, Jan. And she runs away.
Which is wearing the wig.
Yes.
And then they're playing that music is from Taxi Driver. So it's like Jan's in NoHo LA, like walking around in the middle of the night. And they're all, it's like, oh, you're doing good, honey. All the sex workers walking up the street. And then a big rig just pulls over. And she sticks her thumb out, and then you go in there, and it's like, it's the original Alice.
Yes.
Who's playing the truck driver, which is like, made my heart just sing.
Yes.
I mean, she's so good.
Yes.
The part.
She really is. Meanwhile, the family's out driving around trying to find her.
With a CB.
But of course, they have a CB radio because, again, the 70s. And Christmas Carol, that's her CB name, Christmas Carol, gets on and, is talking about their missing daughter. And eventually, I forget what.
Schultze brings her home.
Yes, brings her home. So we get the talent show. And this is right out of the show. Like, they're wearing the outfits, like the colorful rainbowy outfits. They sing, keep on dancing on through the night. Like, keep on doing it right.
Doing it right.
And
they have the original music too, which is like they didn't re-record it, which made me so happy.
Yes.
They got the original people doing the original kids.
There's a whole thing about throughout the whole movie, Peter has the like voice, like and like a girl kisses him and then his voice gets like comically deep after that. He has a whole solo in the song. It's pretty funny. And the other thing that happens during the show that it's just random and I never caught it before is Jean Smart has now shown up to like watch the show because why wouldn't she? And she's like scooting into an aisle and she's just sticking her ass in like all these boys' faces. Because she's so desperate for attention.
Because her mean son is in a grunge band, and they're playing for the Brady. We are flag, we are blood. Like they're just aggressively terrible.
Yes.
And his girlfriend, who's a Scientologist, Marissa Ribisi.
Oh yes, that's who that is. I knew she looked familiar.
And he was friends with Doug Simpson, who dumped Marcia because she wouldn't put out.
Yeah.
He has this girlfriend, and then Marcia has a little friend, Doreen.
I think it's Noreen, yeah.
Noreen, and Noreen is a adorable lesbian who like is of course she would have a big crush on Marcia, who wouldn't? She's beautiful. But they're like best friends. And then she's kind of hurt because she punches out Doug Simpson, but then Marcia's new beau
Charlie
takes kind of the credit for it. Charlie takes the credit for it. And so, but then I loved it because the lesbian and the girl that Doug Simpson's former girlfriend, his side piece, like they become a couple, which I think is really cute.
Happy endings for everyone.
And they do this perfectly in the high school when they're doing this full on performance and like 3 people in the crowd are into it and they don't seem to notice. Like they're playing it like they're killing it.
Yes.
And it's so, I mean, the choreography is ridiculously, lame and like silly. And
it's right from the show.
It's right from the show. Exactly. And then Eric Nies comes out because he's the presenter and then he says, and the winner is the Brady Bunch. And then you see it's the monkeys are there. They're the ones. Such a great visual.
I love the monkeys.
I love the monkeys too. That was Brady Bunch and monkeys. Like that was just a big part of my childhood.
Yeah.
Right
and so
there.
they get their money and they like show up and pay their tax bill. And then Mike gives the big speech about like money can't, buy like the great neighbors and how, every year we know this person's going to grow the best daffodils and blah, blah, blah. It's very Brady Bunch. Like he's going to give the big speech. He's going to say the thing that makes everybody make the right decision. And they do. And they're like, yeah, we're going to stay. They're right. Like this is a great neighborhood. And then we meet the Bradys. We meet Carol's mother, the grandmother, and that is Florence Henderson, the original Carol Brady.
Who looks amazing,
she looks
by the way.
Amazing. And immediately goes up to Marcia and is like, you're so beautiful and perfect or whatever. And Jan's like, why is she so beautiful and perfect? And she like shakes her, I think, right? She
grabs her face and says, cut the crap, Jan. And Jan's like, thank you.
They went away. And then that's when Cindy starts hearing, why does Jan get so much attention?
I love Eddie too, the carjacker.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh! I almost forgot.
Greg is like, this is my car, but my name's not Jack. It's Greg.
Yes.
They run into him again. And he's like, oh man.
Yes. We're counting on you to give us a ride. It's our friend Eddie. All the stuff, like everything works out for them because, again, they're the Brady Bunch, and everything always works out for them at the end. It's just funny. It's just funny.
And then boom, it's like a cold edit, and then boom, it's like the squares, and they're like dancing in the squares, and they have like Florence Henderson with her Wesson bottle.
Yes.
And they have Alice like in her pleather gear, like underneath. Like, like everyone's just goofing, and it's so good. It's so funny. I remember loving this at the time, and it just hits my happy space in my brain.
Yes. I think it's funnier now. I think it was
I laughed super hard.
This is the best this has played for me ever, and I really think it's because now the 90s stuff is
hilarious.
Is such a spoof, when before it was like that's what it was. It's like, yeah, okay, but now it works on so many different levels.
They're lampooning like LA culture in 95. It's like everybody has the phone, but it's got the antenna. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. I mean, and the grunge stuff and all of it, and like the car that's going whoop-de in the parking lot. I mean, they're just throwing it all in there, but it's also just genuinely funny. Like it's everybody is such a good actor, really. This is like great acting.
They're all
it's not
in.
just good comedy acting, but they're in. Yeah,
they're all in on the
fun.
joke. There's no wink.
Yeah.
There's no wink here. Like, and that's what makes it work. It's so good.
I love it.
Have you seen the sequel?
It's okay.
Okay.
It doesn't hold up as well. I thought it was kind of. I think he just kind of got it perfect that one time. Yeah.
I remember seeing it and being like, that was fine. Like, that's something to watch. But I haven't seen it since then. So I can't really say. This is a good one, y'all. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. So you don't even have to rent it. You could just watch it. Instead of doing other 95 movies, I thought you would like to hear about movies that were based on TV shows.
I love it already.
Okay,
Go.
So just to be clear, everybody, the TV shows came first. Okay. So we have 21 Jump Street, a movie that everyone loves but me.
I liked it fine, the first one, but after that, I was,
Miami Vice.
Yeah, not good.
See, that's one where I'm like, and nobody likes that one, and I'm like, I like that one.
When was the last time you've seen it?
It's been a couple years, but I like Michael Mann movies. I think there's something about Michael Mann movies that usually work for me. But I remember liking it at the time. I should rewatch it. That feels like a November thing because it's definitely not a scary movie month thing. Nope. Okay, other movies. I could list all the Mission Impossible movies here. I saw the most recent Mission Impossible movie. It's really great. Those movies are fun. I like them very much. The Beverly Hillbillies.
God, I don't remember that one.
I don't think you need to.
Okay.
We almost did this one, Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, we're taking a break from Drew right now, but we might go back to it. I did like that first one very much.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, though. It's like it's very loving to the original material, but also it's doing its own thing.
Yes, exactly. Bewitched.
Not good.
I didn't even see it. The A-Team.
Not good.
Nope. The Equalizer.
I don't think I've seen that.
You know what? I haven't seen it either.
I didn't even see the original one. That guy was really old. It always was like,
it's like Edward. What was his name? It was like Edward Woodward or something like that.
Yes.
I didn't really watch it. I might actually like the Equalizer movies if I would watch them. I like Denzel Washington.
I love Denzel.
And I tend to like those kinds of movies. And then we both recently discovered that there's a new Equalizer on, and it's Queen Latifah as the Equalizer. And I was like, I should probably watch that because I love her. Okay, a few more movies. Baywatch.
Not good. It's really hard to do this, y'all.
Yeah.
It's really tricky.
Scooby-Doo.
No.
Nope. Here's a good one. Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Oh, that's the best.
Here's another good one. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Love it. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but love it.
I have no doubt there's shit in that movie that does not age well. But when I saw it, the second it was over, I turned to my friend and said, I want to see it again. Like, I laughed so hard in that movie. Okay, 2 more. Starsky and Hutch.
Not good.
No. And then finally, the Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone, the movie.
The one from 83?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They redid the one about the aircraft one with John Lithgow.
Yeah.
Doing the William Shatner part that I thought was really good.
Yeah. There's that movie's problematic for obvious reasons, but there was some good stuff in that movie.
Do you want to hear the top 10 songs?
I can't wait.
For the week this came out. So this would be February 18th, 1995.
Keep on, keep on, keep on. Is that it? Is that one?
Nope.
Ah.
When it's time to change. All right. Number 10. This is you're going to have to help me because some of these I don't even remember. Hootie and the Blowfish, Hold My Hand.
Oh, yeah.
Could not escape that album.
No, it was at like every party I went to.
4 p.m. Sukiyaki.
No, I don't know that song.
I don't know it either.
You're making songs up.
I'm not. Wait for this. Bon Jovi, Always. I don't remember that one.
I don't remember. I know who Bon Jovi is.
I've heard of him. Soul for Real, Candy Rain.
I bet if I heard it, I would know that one.
Number 6, Desiree, You Gotta Be.
Okay, this one you still can't get away from. It's on every easy listening station.
I hope she's making a shitload of money. It's also on like every commercial.
Yes,
too.
It is.
That's the dream, man, I think.
I hope she's getting paid.
You get that one hit wonder. It just fucking takes care of you the rest of your life and you just do what you want.
Nice.
That's like the dream to me. None of this artistic bullshit. Okay. Number 5, Brandy, Baby.
I love Brandy.
Brandy.
Yep.
Another one. Don't know this. Real McCoy, Another Night.
Oh, that's one of those like you would hear it in like Night of the Roxbury or something. Another day, another night. Something.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of those movies.
Here's one you couldn't escape from also. Number 3, Boys to Men, On Bended Knee.
No,
Boy,
you couldn't
they love those ballads.
Yeah, they do. And yes, you could not get away from that.
This is number 2, one of my favorite Madonna songs, Take a Bow.
That's a beautiful song.
Such a great song. And this song is fucking dope. Number 1, TLC, Creep.
I love TLC. I love them so much.
So much.
And I love that song. And I love that video. And
I listened to them nonstop in 95.
I was just at Target this afternoon and they had these like satin pajamas and I was like, that's like from the Creep video and I should buy them, but I didn't buy them.
You'll slip out of bed. Satin pajamas are not great. They get twisty.
Like just get in your bed and just slide right out.
I had satin sheets for a while. I was like, oh, this is sexy. I got me some satin sheets. They're not great. They pill very easily.
Yes.
Yeah. They're problematic.
If I hadn't been with my son at the time, I might have gone in the dressing room and tried them on and like acted out Creep and filmed it for you, but I didn't.
Sir, would you mind helping me? Just hold my camera up while I do this little dance by the pots and lids.
Yeah, it's just a second. It's just be a second. Thanks. I could ask Calvin to do it for me, but he absolutely would not. He would not. He would...
He'd say hard pass, Mom.
He would run away from me is what he would do. He would run. That's a good list. What else are you dorking out about, my friend?
Well, we talked about Jan Wenner on What a Creep, and we recorded it.
He
I posted it. And, he was the energy Rolling Stone, and then my Rolling Stone showed up yesterday. I actually get the print version as well. And Olivia Rodrigo is on the cover, and she has an album called Guts, and I'm totally into it.
Ooh, okay. I should listen to that.
I think you'd like her. I think you'd like her a lot. She's just this pop music. It's got a little bit of rock sensibility. She has a great voice. She writes her own material.
I loved her. She had hits.
As shit.
Yeah, I had some songs from her first album on like my Let's Get Over This Shit playlist.
Yep.
Yeah, and I should listen to it. Good call.
It's really good. The Great British Bake Off is back, new season for us here in America.
I'll be
on
watching.
Netflix.
I'll be watching that tonight.
And
how was it? Because it's new hosts, right?
Yeah,
or new host.
They got rid of the bald guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why they need two of them.
Yeah, for the bits, I guess.
Yeah, but there's the creepy guy. They were both creepy to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And apparently I think he's kind of a creep, but I'm sorry. I don't know the name of the woman. She hosted the BAFTAs. Like, she's super famous in the UK, but I didn't recognize her. She's African American. She's actually really funny and really interacts with people on a genuine level. And
that's nice.
I like her a lot. It was the first time they did the opening bit that I didn't cringe in a long time.
Those opening bits are so bad.
Oh,
They're
my
so
God.
bad.
Let's take Paul Hollywood and put him up in a tree and call him Goldilocks and blah blah blah. I mean, it's like, and Prue will do this. I'm like, we don't need this shit.
Yeah.
But they had something called The Bread Father, which is a take on The Godfather, and they introduced and it actually was pretty funny. I actually was like, this is enjoyable, but that's because I like the new host.
Okay.
And it's Cake Week, and I love Cake Week.
Ooh, I do love Cake Week as well. So they got rid of Matt Lucas, and the new presenter is Allison Hammond.
Thank you so much, because I really liked her, and she's great. And I used to get BBC America and watch it all the time, so I was like really hip to British people, presenters and actors, and I fell out of that loop. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. I've been catching up on that. I watched a few episodes the other day. Meryl Streep is a goddamn treasure. Martin Short. They're all great.
They're so good. It's still good.
Paul
The first season is still like the best season, but every season is enjoyable to watch, and they're so good. Everyone in it. They get the best people. Only the best people.
Only the best people, and they really are the best people. And the morning show on Apple, I always make fun of it for being trashy. They actually had an episode that was good, but in the way that'll punch you in the stomach, because it's about misogyny in the TV business, and it made me sick, but it was actually a really good episode. Yeah. And there's John Hamm is playing a version of Elon Musk. He's a billionaire that's trying to buy the network. I don't know if I can
watch this.
Yeah. So that made me think of this week. The last thing I was dorking out about was on TikTok, actually, when you called me. Linda Yaccarino was at Code Conference.
Oh, yes.
And she's the CEO of X. Apparently. Mm-hmm. And she gave one of the worst interviews.
Oh, man. I haven't watched the whole thing.
There are people commenting on it. And if you ever know anybody that says, there's no such thing as bad publicity, people love to say that, check out this interview. There is nothing good about it. I think Elon Musk will use it as a reason to can her.
Yeah.
But she comes across almost as defensive as Martin Short, going back to Martin Short, when Saturday Night Live, when he used to play that defense lawyer, and he'd have the glasses and he'd be smoking a cigarette, and they would just, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember this.
Okay. Never mind. Look it up.
That's okay.
But anyway, she's very defensive and condescending, and clearly, there's one point with the reporter, it's a talk, and the person that was on before her, he was in charge of safety at Twitter, and had to leave because he was threatened by the users of Twitter. They were posting his address, they were threatening his family. He famously had to go dark and disappear. And he did the interview just before she came on, and so she immediately comes on well, I didn't know somebody else is going to be here, which is never a good move. You always act like you knew. You're fine. You don't do that. Anything like corporate communications or any kind of communications, people need to see this just to know what not to do.
Yes.
And when people say things like, oh, I'll just wing it, or all publicity is good publicity, blah, blah. No. You got to have answers. And she apparently didn't know. They asked her, Elon says he's going to start charging everybody to use it. She's like, he did? Basically had no idea, but then turns around and then just doubles down. And not great. Not a great look.
No, it's awful. He we've talked about this on Dorking Out. He 100% like made her the CEO because he's driving the company into the ground, and then you fire her, right, and blame her, and then men like Elon Musk then use that as an example of, see, women can't lead big companies.
Right.
And he's setting her up to fail. But the truth is, she's also not doing herself any fucking favors.
No, and I'm like, weren't you selling ads for NBC Universal? Like, was that not a good enough job? Like, I mean, I don't know. And then at one point she says, who wouldn't want to be standing next to Elon Musk
Me.
when he's, yeah, exactly. When he's producing, when he's doing all this stuff, and like a third of the audience raised their hands. Like, no, he'll throw you to vipers.
No, I honestly, like, and I mean this sincerely, you couldn't pay me enough money to work with Elon Musk. My soul is valuable. Like,
now, you would get 3 a.m. calls, or emails or texts that are ridiculous. You'll get CC'd on stuff and somebody will torpedo you. I mean, it is not worth the money. And apparently he got rid of the whole comms team when he took over Twitter. And it's like, she should have hired somebody on the DL to like practice. But I'm sure she was like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And
he also fired all their, like, I mean, they fired a ton of the engineers and people that work on Twitter, but they also, as someone who works in content design, I know this, that they fired all their content designers, and then their like emails were going out with like typos and shit like that. And I was like, that's embarrassing. Like, it's just shitty. Yeah. He's a shitty person. And I do love the footage of him going to visit the border, and he's wearing a cowboy hat and it's on backwards.
It's on backwards. And then he writes a defensive email about it. Like, I've had that hat for 10 years and I own guns too. And he's like,
I'm like, good for you, but your hat is still backwards. And that's not how people wear cowboy hats. But whatever, man. Whatever.
But that's what I was dorking out about. Like, because I'm a comms nerd.
Yeah.
You're a content nerd. I'm a comms nerd. So I was like, whenever I get examples like that, I want to shout it from the rooftops. Like, no, all publicity is not good publicity, y'all. Like, please.
I dork out about content stuff all the time. When I was in Ireland, I took pictures of so on the actual street, like on the street, they paint, like it says look left with like arrows to remind people to like which way to look when you're crossing the street. And I was like, that's some great content design. Look how easy that like taking a picture of it. Everyone's like, what a fucking dork. But we were all dorks because it was all of us content designers together.
When I'm sorry.
No,
when I was reading Liz Rosenberg was Madonna's publicist forever. She was at Warner Brothers, and I know people who worked for her. And she's like Cher's publicist. She's like, and she was the Linda is like Madonna when she does Linda Richmond's, like when she and Mike Myers were on Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
That's her making fun of Liz. That's her homage to Liz Rosenberg. And when Madonna had these she had these Playboy pictures come out early in her career, which was going to totally trounce her career. And somebody called Liz and said, we also have a story that Madonna burned somebody with a cigarette. And she just goes, you know what? Madonna doesn't burn. She sizzles. And then she hung up. And I'm like, that's fucking genius.
It's so silly.
It's silly, but it just fucking like, don't give me that shit.
Yeah. Also, the idea that naked pictures would somehow ruin Madonna is also hilarious.
It's a long time ago, guys. And that was, and also she also didn't shave under her armpits with like Joan Rivers made that joke for like the next 20 years of her life.
Yes. It was one of her go-to jokes.
Oof. She wasn't making fun of Liz Taylor's weight. She was going after not a deep person, as I'm saying.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I know. Joan Rivers was hilarious, and sometimes she wasn't hilarious, and that's okay.
Yep.
Can't win them all. At your recommendation, I watched The Supermodels on Apple.
What'd you think?
It's really good. It's really, really good. It's part of it. Falls in line with like a lot of the revisiting we've been doing lately of how we treated women in the 90s and early 2000s. I thought that this was very much that sort of story about how we thought about models back in the day, and talk about 90s. Like these models were huge in the 90s. It was Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Cindy Crawford, and Christy Turlington. I almost said Kate Moss, but Christy
Walnut
Turlington.
Creek's.
Yes, that's right. And they were huge, but it was all about like how they started, what the 90s were like, what those contracts were like that they signed, by the way, and like where are they now? And it's really well done, I thought. And they all have very different stories and different experiences. And I think it's really good. It's worth it. It's worth it. If you have Apple, you should definitely check it out. I also have watched, I'm caught up now on Love is Blind, the new season of Love is Blind. I'm telling y'all right now, this is the worst season they've ever had of Love is Blind. There's normally, so if you haven't watched Love is Blind, what they do is they have all these men and all these women. By the way, they're all attractive. Like, it's not like they could be on any dating show. Like, you're not going to end up with some uggo. You know, they're all beautiful. They put them in these pods and they like date without actually seeing each other. And then at some point, like, they quote unquote fall in love. Maybe they do, you know, whatever. They've had some successes in the past. And the man, I don't know why it's the man, but the man asks the woman to marry him. And she says yes. And then there's like a reveal. Then they send them to Mexico for like 4 or 5 days together so that they can fuck, basically. And then, and all of the couples are there. And then they like send them back into the real world and see if they get married in 4 weeks. This is the whole show. And normally at the end of, you know, they kind of hone in on like 4 couples, and you'll follow like 4 couples through this process. Like, you'll meet a whole bunch of people at first, and then it gets narrowed down to like 4 couples that like hook up, and they send them to Mexico and they fuck, and then hilarity ensues. And it's, will they or won't they actually get married? So this season, one of the women like broke up with the guy in Mexico. Like, she was like, this is a no for me, dog. And she peaced out. And it was good move because, by the way, so that couple was, his name is JP and she is Taylor, and he is a firefighter. This one is in Houston, Texas, by the way. So remember that. He's a firefighter. She's a kindergarten teacher. I was like, that's adorable. And I was like, and in my head, I was like, oh my God, they're going to get married. And then he's going to bring the fire truck to the school, and she's going to be like those kids' heroes for bringing the fire truck. This is the story I start telling myself in my head. Then I start noticing, dude sure is wearing a lot of American flag gear. And somebody on Twitter was like, JP looks like he shops at Old Navy on July 3rd. Like, it's all like... It's all like America, fuck yeah, like shirts and socks and all kinds of stuff. But in the pod, he's very open and vulnerable with her, and they have lovely conversations. He proposes. She says yes. There's the reveal. It seems a little awkward, but that is awkward. And they go to Mexico, and that dude just shuts down. He stops talking to her completely, basically. And he's expecting her to like do all this emotional labor. And she's like, trying really hard to like get him to talk to her, and he just doesn't. And then when he finally does talk to her, he's like, I didn't like that you were wearing all that makeup at the reveal. And I was like, oh, fuck you. Like, grow up, dude, grow up, you know? And he's like, I just don't like that. Like, I don't want you wearing makeup. And she's like, I need to sleep in another room tonight. I have thinking to do. And then the next day she's like, no, thanks. So like, she peaced out. So that couple didn't even make it out of Mexico. Another couple, and this is going to get a little convoluted, but I'm going to really try. There was a woman named Aaliyah, and she's in the pods, and her and this guy Uche are like talking, and they seem to really like each other. And at some point, she reveals to him that the last time she had a boyfriend, she cheated on the boyfriend. And
Oh, no, you don't say that.
And he was so shitty to her, like so judgy and awful, like made her cry, and she felt so terrible. And she goes back to her pod where all the ladies are, because all the ladies are like living together. And this one woman, Lydia, is like, he doesn't get to talk to you like that. You're wonderful, blah, blah, blah. And like really pumps her up and like makes her feel better. And they like hug and they're very sweet and they kind of form this little friendship. She goes back and she talks to Uche, and then a couple dates later, he reveals to her that he actually knows somebody in the pods. And it turns out he knows this woman, Lydia, and that they used to fuck. And Lydia knows he's there. So now there's two people in the pods that actually know each other. Aaliyah's like,
okay.
Aaliyah leaves the pod, like she leaves the show. She's like, I'm not doing this. I don't want any part of this. She leaves the show. And then Uche like gets the producers to call her, and then he's shitty to her on the phone, like it's her fucking fault that like he lied to her about. It turned out he was sleeping with this woman, Lydia, 3 months before he was on the show, and he cheated on Lydia when he was with her. So like,
oh, for God's
yes,
sake.
and it was awful. And I was like, this man is a garbage person. And Lydia seems like she's like really hyper bananas, like kind of person. It's very strange. So that couple doesn't make it. So now we're down to two couples, and one is like this man named Izzy and Stacy, and she is like from a rich family, and Izzy is not, and has apparently bad credit and a player. Like he's like he has like a lost and found in his apartment from like ladies that like spend the night and leave their stuff. And I was like, both of these people are like, they're not good people. You know, I'm like, oh, I don't even have anyone to root here for. And then there's another couple that's Lydia, the woman who was sleeping with the other guy, and she's like 31, and she's engaged to a man named Milton who's 24, and he's like, seems, I don't know, like a big tall, he's like 6'7", and she's like,
oh my God.
and she's like 5'3".
So they could have another person between them.
Yes, it's so,
on top.
and I'm like, strangely, I was like, this is the only couple that like seems like they might actually like each other, like, but still, like, they're both kind of weird. There's like nobody to root for here. Like normally there's at least a couple of people that you're like, oh, I hope she says no, she's better than that, or you know, he's not right for her. And there's like none of that here. It's just, you should burn this whole season down and start over.
Everyone sucks here.
Yes. Like,
am I the asshole, or everyone sucks here?
It's a really weird season. I'm still watching it, like, and I'll watch it to the end. But I don't know if any of these people are going to get married. It's very strange. And then on top of all that, you have the hosts are Nick and Vanessa Lachey.
Ugh.
And they're fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
They're weird. And she was particularly weird last season. Like,
yeah.
To the point where I was like, has she been drinking? Like, it was like very bizarre in the reunion shows. They're very weird. I don't know. The season's very bananas. Again, I'll keep watching, but it's not up to the standards of past seasons. Like normally I'm like, I can't wait for the new episodes. I'm dying to know who actually gets married and who doesn't. And this one, I'm just like, I hope they all leave each other at the altar. Like, and all go their separate ways, and we don't see any reunion shows, and we never have to talk about this season again. It's not good. I mean, it's good.
Damn.
It's good as in I'm watching it, but it's like not a good season in which there's no love story here to hold on to. So there's that. And we've already talked about our housewives on our bonus episodes of What a Creep, but both of these shows are Salt Lake City and New York are killing it.
They're great. And Below Deck Med started. I forgot to mention Captain Sandy. They're in Italy. Captain Sandy, tends to fire people pretty quickly. She's
Okay.
kind of known for that. So this is the first time somebody was fired on the first day.
Whoa.
And it's because this guy got onto the ship, and it's this gigantic, huge, like 33 tons, like this ship. And they're in Portofino, it's the Italian coast. And this guy shows up. He's from South Africa, and he shows up to be the bosun. And then somebody comes, because it's a commercial grade boat. You have to be licensed, right? Everybody on the boat has to be licensed. And they're like, "Where's your license?" And he's like, "Oh, here you go." And he hands them in their photocopies of a license. And they're like, "No, we need to see." It's like, this is your passport. You don't show them a picture of your passport. You show them your passport. So he's like, "Oh, it's in my friend's house in South Africa. He's going to have to mail them here." She's like, "Okay, well, you can't be on the boat while this is happening. So you got to get off the boat." And he's like, "Okay." And then the next day she brings him back, and she was talking about it with somebody else. And they both were sharing a screen, and they're talking about his thing. And it turns out he had forged a license, and it wasn't even his picture on the license.
Oh, shit.
He was like trying to explain like, "Oh, no, it's me. It's just I had to make copies, and I always keep them in my safe in South Africa, but I'm never in South Africa." So anyway, that was over a year ago. And apparently he admits it now that it was all a big ruse. But oh my God, it's a huge vessel that he would have been a part of, and he's just kind of scamming his way on the boat.
Damn. To think he could pull that off on TV? Good luck.
Unfucking real. I just could not. I was like, boy, that's some balls. Like, some people really, because I'm always convinced I'm going to get caught. I don't do stuff like that because I'm convinced I'm going to get caught. I would never, like, especially a picture.
Yes.
Like, he didn't even change the picture. He just
Nope.
It was crazy.
And then
Anyway.
he showed his passport, and it said McLovin.
It just was, it's wild.
Is Luca on this one? The guy from
Luca's on this one, and he's he's cute.
He's cute.
He's real cute. It takes a few episodes before you could figure people out, because they're just working, when they start off and everyone's nice. And then just like once they get stressed out is when their real personalities start to show. And that's fun. But apparently, like, she fires more people than she's ever fired before.
Whoa.
I know.
I should tell my sister to watch this season. My sister loves Captain Sandy.
She's a kook, I think, but I do like her. She's strange. I wouldn't want to work for her.
Right.
Because she's one of those people, like, she's really warm until you piss her off, and then she's like knife in the back, get out of my face kind of thing.
Mm.
And those kind of people are not easy.
I'd like to work under Captain Jason, if you catch my drift.
Oh,
hey-o.
I mean, can I be his tanning bed? I'll just like tape some, reflective lights all over me. Like,
welcome to my new show, Horning Out. Is there anything else on our list of what we're dorking out about? I don't think
so.
Nope,
that's plenty.
That's plenty. My friend, where can people find you on the internet?
You could find me at Brooklyn Margot on Twitter and on Blue Sky, because you got me a code.
Woo!
So I'm on there as Brooklyn Margot. I'm Brooklyn Fit Chick on Instagram. That's my site. And I'm at my name, Margot Donahue, on the TikTok. And I post clips there of the movies that we're working on and stuff that I'm working on. So check it out.
Yes, follow her on all the things. She's always posting really good stuff. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky, and we'll move dorking out and What a Creep there when we get the invite codes, because apparently it's still invite only. So that's a whole thing. You can also find everything you want to know about dorking out at dorkingoutshow.com, and Dorking Out Show's also on Twitter and Threads and Facebook and Instagram. This was super fun, my friend. I am so glad that we finally did the Brady Bunch movie. It has been on our list since the beginning, so good pick. And for October, we'll do all scary movies. Woohoo!
I'm so psyched. So psyched.
All right, so we'll be back next week with an all new episode. Ow, my my nose.